All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. Today is September 18th, 2023. It is a Monday. I want to wish everybody a very happy Monday. Hopefully your week is off to a fantastic start. Now, it's going to be a busy week, particularly here in New York City. Now, for those of you who missed the live stream last night, well, we'll just do a quick recap of some of the major events going on in New York City. Sunday night at about 6 p.m., we had President Joe Biden touch down in New York. And I believe he is going to be here pretty much all week for the UN General Assembly. We are going to have world leaders right here in the city on this small island of Manhattan all week. Diplomats, world leaders, politicians from all over the world. So it's going to be an exciting one. Last night we saw so many different motorcades, security decals. There's just everybody is in the city. And as we know, all of the buildings that are usually, I would say, mostly empty, right? A lot of which are on Billionaires Row, 432 Park Avenue, Central Park Tower, 53 West 53, Steinway, and the like. Everything was pretty filled up. I mean, there was, big Cadillac Escalades, Chevy Suburbans, all up and down Central Park South to Billionaires Row at all of the major hotels. We saw the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. We saw the Park Hyatt, which was one of my personal favorite hotels, the Plaza, and also the Ritz-Carlton residences on Central Park South. Now, not only do we have the UN General Assembly going on all week in New York City, this is going to be a major week in the financial markets as it relates to an update in monetary policy. Oh, look at these dogs crossing the street here. A major update as it relates to monetary policy. We'll start off on Wednesday when we are going to hear from Federal Reserve President, I should say, Jerome Powell himself, as he gives an update to U.S. monetary policy. Now, as a quick review, the federal funds rate is in a target range of 5.25% to 5.5%. However, if you look at futures markets, it's almost a given. It's almost a certainty that we are going to have no rate hike on Wednesday and no rate cut on Wednesday. It'll probably be sort of a hold steady holding pattern. But look, higher for longer. I'm assuming we're probably going to get at least one more 25 basis point rate hike before the end of the year. But after Wednesday, pretty much comes all of the other, I shouldn't say all of the other, but a lot of global central banks. We are going to hear from the Swiss National Bank as they set their monetary policy, and then we will end the week on Friday hearing from the BOJ, the Bank of Japan, yes. Now, as we reviewed and talked about yesterday, the BOJ is really bucking the trend of pretty much every other central bank around the globe. They still have negative interest rates, and they have not been raising interest rates at all. If anything, the lending rate over in Japan is still negative, and it's expected that the BOJ is going to continue to hold interest rates in negative territory, which is just an unbelievable monetary experiment that is going on over in Japan. Let's go ahead and pull up TradingView. We will talk about futures really quick. If you're following me on Twitter, you could go on Twitter, which is now known as X, and you could type in @WalksWallStreet. And I posted a chart of crude oil futures. If you want to follow along, the ticker symbol is CL. That is the futures contract for light crude oil futures. And we are trading all the way back at $91 a barrel. If you wanted to reach those prices, you would have to go all the way back to November of 2022. So is this an environment where we could test $100 a barrel crude oil yet again? I don't know. I'm not so sure. It is possible, which I think opens up even more of an opportunity for an additional rate hike before the end of the year. Just in from some preliminary data out of California, particularly Southern California, there is as well as the Federal Reserve, how they play it. We'll take a look at futures for the stock market. Yeah, we might as well just start the stream. Internet's dead, no big deal. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. We will get started, but yet again, we are live. All right. Let's get started. Hey, Jack S. Good to see you. You know, we may be buffering a little bit tonight for a multitude of reasons. Number one, we are very, very far up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We are reporting from Central Park West and 101st Street. So we're almost near the very, very top of Central Park. Now, for those of you who don't know, Central Park starts all the way down at 59th Street, Columbus Circle, or Central Park South, and it extends all the way up to 110th Street, known as Cathedral Parkway. So we're not all the way at the top of Central Park tonight, but we are pretty much going to walk the entire length of Central Park down to Columbus Circle, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the Upper West Side. The Upper West Side is very, very different than a lot of the neighborhoods you experience on this live stream. Most times we were reporting live from Midtown Manhattan, Billionaires Row, the West Village, the Financial District, Sutton Place, all that, right? This is very different. The Upper West Side is very residential. You're going to see beautiful brownstones tonight. You're going to see great views of Central Park, and it's very quiet. It is extremely quiet. Pretty much after a stunning neighborhood, and it's unfortunate we don't get to come up here as often as I'd like. GG NYC is here. Jay Grant, welcome. Joseph Hardaway, good to see you. Ukrainian Royal. Nick Rock says, how does Japan lend money with a negative interest rate? Do they pay you to borrow the money? Well, think about, I'll answer your question with a question. Think about what does that mean for savers in Japan, right? I mean, think about that. So if you want to leave your money in a bank account, you're essentially paying the bank to do that, to hold custody of your funds, which is wild. But again, you know, if you think about monetary policy, hey, TK Porsche, what's up? No, it's just the Upper West Side has some very funky internet sometimes because we're very far up. I think it'll be all right. Also, once we get to Midtown Manhattan, I remember this from last year. Every single time one of those motorcades go by, the stream starts to buffer. Now, I don't have any concrete evidence of this, but they must have like communication jammers in some of those, you know, vehicles or like frequency blockers, because every time we walk past one of those motorcades, the stream starts to buffer. Now, I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I remember that from last year. Anyway, but think about it like this, right? If we really think about what monetary policy is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to sort of pull the levers on the economy. So easy, I would say lackadaisical, lax monetary policy is meant to spur economic growth, right? And very tight monetary policy is to sort of cool things down a bit, put the brakes on the economy. So when interest rates are artificially suppressed and negative, right, like they are in Japan, it sort of forces people into the marketplace in search for yield, right? Now, if you remember a main conversation that we've been having, particularly in the United States, well, savers are finally being rewarded yet again for just merely saving their money, right? I mean, if you go to treasurydirect.gov and you purchase a 1-year US Treasury, you're going to be getting paid by the US government, by the Treasury, you know, roughly 5.5%, maybe a little bit less than that. So you don't have to seek risk. You don't have to seek risk into the marketplace to try to generate a return. But when interest rates are low, right, artificially suppressed, it's sort of the central bank's way of, you know, lighting a fire under your butt to say, look, if you want to make a return on your money, you got to go out and seek that investment. And that's kind of what spurs asset bubbles in a way too, because, you know, people are like, all right, I'll leverage out the deal, I'll buy a bunch of real estate, I'll buy a bunch of stocks because...
Are you doing...
Hey.
What are you doing?
Say again? What's up?
Sorry, what are you doing?
Oh, we're just doing a live stream.
For what?
It's called Walks on Wall Street. We walk around the city and talk about the financial markets and things like that.
I watched this.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you for watching. That's fantastic. And it's very nice meeting you. Yeah, all right. Hey, take care. So if you think about, you know, when monetary policy is extremely lax, it forces people into the marketplace in search for yield. So I'll take on a lot of margin debt to invest in equities. I'll take on a lot of mortgage debt to invest in real estate to try to make a return. But when the tables are turned and interest rates go back up, well, guess what? Now fixed income products, or fixed income, is now competing with equities and other asset classes like real estate, because I could just leave my money in a bank or in a CD or buy a treasury and I'll actually get yield. That's probably another reason why the Japanese stock market has been doing really well. It's almost near record highs going all the way back to the 1980s. I mean, if you think about the Japanese stock market, it peaked right around 1980-ish, I think. And it really hasn't ever retraced all the way to its all-time record high before, which is kind of wild. Hey, Matthew M., good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Matt says PCN online savings account pays 5.55% interest now. Yeah, I mean, that's another good example, right? Kind of crazy. Jeff, welcome. Good to see you, Jeff. Good to see you, Jeff. Hey, MBA Elias says, greetings, Tom. I hope you had a good day. I did. I had a fantastic day today. It's a cold, kind of raw day in New York City, and we are reporting live on Manhattan's Upper West Side. So it's going to be very quiet tonight. Not a lot of honking, not a lot of foot traffic. It's kind of nice. And Central Park is right here. So we are walking down, headed southbound on Central Park West. Hey, Davis here says, good morning, Tom, from the Gold Coast. Oh, did we just witness an accident there? Team, I think we just witnessed an accident. I think I should go over and see if that guy's all right. Did anybody see that live? I was kind of looking away. Let's go and see if he's all right. I think he is all right. That guy got hit by a car. All right, never mind. We'll just go check on him. We'll see if he's all right. Oh my God, and the taxi cab took off? Hey, you all right, pal? Wow. Ruthless here in New York City. Let's see if he's all right. Hey man, are you okay? You okay? You hurt or anything? You good? Okay. He's all right. He says he's good. Damn, you guys, so, you know, you really got to be careful if you're riding a bike or even just walking in the city. You really got to be careful because, I mean, jeez, some of these drivers are crazy. I'm going to have to go back and watch it when I conclude the stream because I only heard the noise and I quickly looked over, but I didn't see the impact, so I don't know how bad it was. Anyway, I hope he's all right, but look, you really got to be careful when you're biking, cycling, anything in New York. It's very crazy here. But check out some of the facades of these buildings here. Imagine living on Central Park West. Literally, Central Park is your backyard. You have all of this beautiful facade here. It's a lot of brick and mortar, right? It's very, very different than what you'll see on New York City's Billionaires Row. And as we head down to the 80s, so this is West 95th Street, as we get to the 80s, the brownstones are just breathtaking. It's unbelievable property here. And we'll be able to see it live tonight on the stream. Carl Ross says it was a bump, no big deal. 10-4, copy that. Hey, Hawaii is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Brad's Brains says Japan ran insane inflation rates for years and years. I hope Jerry Powell isn't taking any cues. You know, I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. I mean, the Fed chair has been very direct, I think, anyway. And a lot of the other Fed presidents have been very direct as well. You know, New York Fed President John Williams, this is a nice Tesla. I think this is the Tesla Model X. I believe one of the ways you could tell is if the door handles are closer together, they open up like the gull wing doors, which is a really nice car, really, really nice vehicle. You have a little bit of brick road here on the Upper West Side, if you will, in order to, I don't know, I don't want to say to sound smart, but it's possible. Ooh, more buffering. All right, we'll try to get out of the Upper West Side. All right, I think we should be out. All right, I think we may be back. Let's see. It's good now. I think I remember why we usually don't stream from the Upper West Side. I just don't think there's any internet here. Ah, we are back. Okay. You know, I kind of remember this from last year too. I think this is one of the main reasons why we don't come to the Upper West Side, which is kind of unfortunate because it's such a nice neighborhood. It's such a really, really nice neighborhood. Didn't that guy to the right look like Kevin Bacon a little bit? Didn't he? If you guys rewind the stream like 30 seconds, the guy standing right here looked like that actor, Kevin Bacon. Anyway. Hey, JC, what's up? Good to see you and welcome to the Upper West Side of Manhattan. This is now 88th Street. We'll try to get back towards civilization. I did hear about that. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of routine layoffs that happen every year at major banks. Oh, was it really? It was Kevin Bacon and his wife? Well, I hope they have a great Monday night. I kind of remember, I think they do have a nice place here on the Upper West Side. It's It's gorgeous. I mean, your backyard is literally Central Park. This is the 86th Street station, the B and C trains. Jules says, Tom, would you prefer to live on the Upper West Side? I would. I mean, look at it. We'll try to go down this block. Hopefully it won't buffer, but I mean, notice the tree-lined streets here. It's gorgeous. And that's one of the main things that attracts a lot of people to living on the Upper West Side, is because you work in Midtown Manhattan, and then you could come back at night and you can enjoy kind of the quiet of the Upper West. You have these really nice brownstones here. It's a beautiful neighborhood, really beautiful area. Yeah, A-scan. We were going full tilt when we started to buffer, but all right, tonight I wanted to try to show you as many brownstones as possible. I love these huge stairs that go up to these beautiful buildings here. And it stays very, very cool in the summer because you have a big canopy. So these are all the original Upper West Side brownstones. Really nice. We'll have to do a stream during the day if I can get some time, just because I think at night it's a little bit too dark here to be able to really see all of the architectural integrity of these brownstones, but you can sort of see all this beautiful brick and mortar work here. Isn't that nice? So you have your, I mean, grand stoop going up to your very solid wood door. Here's a quick shot of across the street. Look at how beautiful that is. Hey, Nancy's here from Syracuse, New York. Hey, Nancy. Good to see you. The Syracuse Orange. The Orangeman. Syracuse isn't that far. It's only about a 45-minute flight to JFK. Not bad. Here's some more beautiful brownstones here. Now, my goal by the end of the year is I want to get a listing on the Upper West Side in one of these brownstones. Notice how quiet it is. Stunning. Now, what do you guys think? Doing a little bit of comparative analysis from the neighborhoods we usually walk, right? 57th Street, Midtown Manhattan, Midtown West, and now comparing it to the Upper West Side. What do you think? I think it's a lot more livable up here. It's more quiet. I would say it's way more family friendly. You could even hear crickets. Hey, Carl Ross, Tom, I'm a bit north of Syracuse. Is a nice cottage area in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, I mean, you know, New York State, for all of those who may not be familiar, it's a massive, massive state. New York is huge. Now, the majority of people think about New York as, you know, the city, the 5 boroughs in New York City, and Long Island, right? Nassau and Suffolk County. But there's so much more that New York has to offer. You have all of upstate New York with the Finger Lakes, some of the cleanest fresh water, not only in the entire country, but in the entire world, is located in New York State. Particularly Skinny Atlas Lake, which a lot of, you know, New Yorkers from downstate have summer homes right on the lake. A lot of big hedge funders have summer homes right on Skinny Atlas Lake. It's gorgeous. Wow, I think this is probably my favorite so far of the stoops leading up to these brownstones. I just think the architectural integrity of the original brownstone buildings of the Upper West Side, you just really can't compare it to a lot of the new architecture of the glass encased Billionaires Row. Across the street's really nice too. Now, if you look into the apartments a little bit, it's all this gorgeous wood paneling throughout. There's a lot of really nice libraries with built-ins. It's beautiful here. And I'll stand in the middle of the street just so you can kind of gauge what it's like at night. Totally quiet, super private, and a very, very big canopy here. Ooh, this is an even better view. Look at this. We'll stand back a little bit. Now you can even see these really rich, sort of like red oak wood doors. All right, let's continue down. I think I already see Christmas decorations over to the right. Look at this. I think that's a Christmas wreath. A little bit early, I should say. Maybe just a tad bit early. We're skipping over Halloween, we're skipping over Thanksgiving, we're going right to Christmas. Love that. Ooh, you know what? I love this one. Look at those stained glass doors. You have all that cool design. Ooh, RK8 says can't wait for the snow. I can wait. I could wait. I'm not a big snow guy, as you guys know. So this is Columbus Avenue. And Columbus, you have tons of shops, tons of restaurants, coffee shops. It's just a really, really nice place. Now, it obviously looks dead right now because it's very late at night. But this is very busy and lively during the day. Daniel G says it's a little bit too dark. Yeah, I mean at night it is, so you really can't see all of the beauty of the Upper West Side. Now for all of the Beatles fans, do we have any Beatles fans in the chat? Anyone a big Beatles fan here? On 72nd Street and Central Park West, we are going to cross past the Dakota, which is, I mean, one of the most stunning buildings in all of New York City. It is this very neo-Gothic style architecture. It has the original gas lanterns lighting up the entryway, and it opens up right at Central Park. It's unbelievable property. We're going to check it out tonight. 86th Street. Bob Poland says all that money and nowhere to park your car. Well, a lot of residents, especially if you own up here, you own a parking space in the garages in and around your neighborhood. Now, I'm actually working on a deal right now for a parking space on East 69th Street on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. The spaces start at $175,000, and your taxes every month are $310, and the maintenance fee for your monthly management is $75. Now those prices are actually down a little bit from 2021. Those same spaces were going for $210,000 a space, $200,000 a space. And if you want full service valet, like white glove service, then it's going to be a little bit more. Some people in Manhattan, what they do is they'll purchase parking space, and let's say if they're working down on Park Avenue, right? They have a service where they can call and somebody will get their car for them and drive it to their work. It's like a totally encapsulated white glove service. Now I'll point out some of the restaurants here on the Upper West Side. They're very quaint, very beautiful, very well lit. It's really nice. Now this is near closing time, but it's still looks rather lively, particularly for the time of night. Hey, Ethan R is joining us. Good to see you. Jay Grant, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys are enjoying this Upper West Side excursion tonight. I do want to point out two other really good restaurants here. This is a good one. And then we'll cross the street and go past this sort of wine bar, which is really good. And it's quiet. It's a nice break from going, to Midtown Manhattan every day and it being super loud. It's just more of a quiet, relaxed vibe on the Upper West Side. Check out these beautiful brownstones again. Look at that. All this amazing brick and mortar going up to your apartment. This is a really nice shot here because you can see all of them stretching all the way down the street. And look at this. This is like a very picturesque scene here. Everybody enjoying a glass of wine on the Upper West Side. Yeah, John, it kind of does look like Park Slope, actually. That's a pretty good comment. It kind of does look like Park Slope a little bit. Now, there's other really good restaurants on the Upper West Side. I'm not sure if you all like Thai food, but a very good friend of mine owns a Thai restaurant called Sen. So if you're visiting New York City, or maybe you're even moving to the Upper West Side, and you want a go-to Thai food restaurant, I give it a 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. It's called Sen. And a good friend of mine owns it, and she also owns another Thai food place in Brooklyn. Hey, Jay is here. This is Evening Tom from Ohio. What's up, Jay? Welcome to the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Seems to be closing time at many of these restaurants, but people are still dining and eating. Hey, Natasha P, what's up? Good to see you. As we take a stroll through the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Now this is West 83rd Street, and this is where I used to work when I was a teenager. We might as well walk past it. So I used to work right here on West 83rd Street between Amsterdam and Columbus, and I would vacuum out and wash rental cars. That was sort of the job I used to do, right in this parking garage right here. And I remember operating the big car elevators, and they were so antiquated and so dangerous. It's just nuts. It sort of reminds me of just recently, unfortunately, that parking garage in the Village, I think, collapsed. And I mean, every time I worked in that garage, I was like, how in the hell is this thing not totally collapsing? Because every time the elevator would get off at a floor, the entire place would shake, like violently. It's crazy how antiquated some of these old parking garages are on the Upper West Side. Now, many of them are actually conversions from horse stables. So way back in the day, you know, the late 1800s, early 1900s, they were horse stables. This one actually was. You could see some of the insignia on it to signify that it was a horse stable back in the day. And a little bit of a fun fact here. So you see the Enterprise Rent-A-Car? This is where I used to work. So I would take the cars and I would drive them down here into the dungeon. The air quality was so piss poor, and I would vacuum them out. Oh my God, it was crazy. It was a fun job though, you know, to have as a teenager. And then I would wash the cars on the outside and get them ready to rent. But a cool thing, which I'll cross the street to show you. So I would get my lunch from the Chinese spot at the Thai place, and I would sit right on these steps, which this was a computer repair store. I'm not even sure if it's a computer repair store right now. And then across the way, you guys see this garage where it says no parking, 24/7 active driveway? Anybody want does anybody in the chat want an interesting, cool story about this garage right here? Anybody? Hey, Nakos, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. You guys say, sure? So this is actually Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld's personal garage. There must be multi-millions of dollars worth of cars here. So I would see him, he pulls up on his bicycle, he punches in the code to go in, and this is actually where they would start to film the comedians in cars getting coffee. They would film it right here. I would see Seinfeld almost every single day when I would go to work. Kind of wild. Hey man, yeah. Good to see you. We used to work here, remember? I used to work right here with Josh. Do you remember?
Oh,
yeah.
God, with the one with the bicycle?
Yeah, dude.
It was you?
I used to work right here. I used to see you all the time, pal.
You still work with Enterprise?
Oh, no, not anymore. That was a way long time ago. Yeah. But it's good to see you, man. Is Nanyo still around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, good, man.
With my good friend.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's awesome.
You used to work for Enterprise?
Yes, in like 2013. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's so amazing to see you around, man.
Yeah,
We used to hang out all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I gotta run, but dude,
right.
God bless you, man. I'll see you around.
No harm, man.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Take care. Yeah. I'll see you soon, man. Yeah, so I used to work here and I used to see all the same people every single day, like that guy. And there was another gentleman, Nanyo. We would always hang out and I'd buy him lunch, I'd buy him breakfast sandwiches. They're nice guys, because a lot of these buildings here are like rent stabilized apartments. So these people have been here for generations and they're paying like $100 for rent. But yeah, great community, great people. And I got to know everybody on the block, right? Because I was trying to get an internship in the sales department. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make sure this community in the neighborhood has a very positive light on Enterprise, right? Because when you think about renting a car, the first thing you think about is how laborious and terrible and horrible and what a nightmare it's gonna be. So I wanted to sort of reframe that. So I would just go around to everybody in the neighborhood. I didn't even know these people. I just randomly go up to them. I'd say, hey, I'm the new intern here at Enterprise. I just want to let you know if you ever need any service, we're going to take really good care of you. I'm going to go grab coffee. You want a coffee? And I used to do that just to random people. And I built a massive book of business that way. And later on, I made a transition to tech sales just from doing that. I mean, you never really know who you're going to come across. And, even 10 years later, people will still remember you, right? If you just do the right thing and you kind of be cool about it. So, all right, back on track. There's a couple other restaurants we need to point out here. Amazing establishments, fantastic. One of which is right across the street. This should be, oh, you know what? It's not here. It's a little bit more further up. Hold on. No, this is Jin Ramen. I think this is. This is a very good ramen place here. Really, really good. Somebody says, how do you sell enterprise SaaS? I don't know, just like work your way up. Usually most people start as like a sales development representative and then work up to account executive and then enterprise account executive. But this is a really good ramen spot. It's called Jin Ramen. Arguably one of the best ramen places in the entire city right here. So if you're visiting New York, this is a great place to go. But I'll tell you something. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion, where you start off. There's always opportunity no matter where you work. It doesn't matter. You could work at the McDonald's and there's a ridiculous amount of opportunity there. It's all the attitude you put into it, right? I mean, I built the majority of my book of business working as a car washer when I was a teenager at a rental car company, right? Because the majority of people, and I'm sure many could attest to this, you walk in to rent a car, it's not like the most pleasant experience. It's like going to the DMV, it's kind of like pulling teeth. So if you can find your edge, and your edge is just pretty simple, just going above and beyond and almost stunning people with how like overboard you go with the customer service, they're going to repay that due in any way they can. So the Upper West Side's a very affluent neighborhood, affluent area. So a lot of people who would come in to rent these cars were account executives, director of sales at Salesforce, SAP, big pharmaceutical companies, managing directors at investment banks, hedge fund guys going out to Shelter Island for the weekend. And if you're just a young kid, it doesn't matter what position you're in. If you just ask the question, hey, I'm interested in finance or I'm interested in software. I'm renting these cars out. I have a little internship now, but you got any advice? What do you suggest? And you never know. You may get a referral and you may get a internship at a hedge fund or an investment bank or a tech company. And the next thing you know, you're making triple the money you made as a car washer. You never know. So don't really ever put down a job you have. You could be delivering pizzas, but it only takes one, right? If you have a positive attitude every day, and if you have a hunger and desire to learn and to be, a networking machine, it only takes one opportunity to blow up. And, in a city like New York, that's a very commonplace to do that, for sure. Ooh, this is a really nice restaurant. Momoya. Wow, kind of looks like the holidays. I think these are, what are they called? How could I forget the name of those flowers? Something lilies? I don't know. I guess it's too late at night. I'm tired. Oh my God, guys, this is so good that we came up here. If you want one of the greatest slices of pizza in New York with no wait, zero line, you got to come here. It's on the corner of West 80th Street. It's called Made in New York Pizza. Fantastic, and there's going to be no line, ever. this place is great. And it's open late too. You know, if you're a tourist, you'll wait in line for 3 hours at Joe's near Times Square. But if you just come to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, ooh, it's cherry blossoms. Thank you, AUS Fly Girl. Thank you, cherry blossoms. But if you just come to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, that pizza spot is fantastic. That's some of the best pizza in the city. And I stand by that. That's a great spot. This seems like an Indian restaurant. I think I may have eaten here before. It says the world's #1 Indian vegetarian restaurant chain. Somebody says, why isn't there a line if it's good? Well, because there's not a lot of tourists here. This is residential. We're on 80th Street. So they're pretty fast about it. They serve mostly like residences of the neighborhood, the community. You know, if you're in Times Square, you're going to get everybody and their brother lining up out the door for it. It's sort of like if you've ever been to DeFara's in Brooklyn. That's the best pizza spot in the entire planet, but there's no line all the way down the block. Hey, Clarence Jackson, what's up? Good to see you, Clarence. Clarence, any thoughts for Wednesday? Wednesday is the day of the days. We are going to hear from our good friend, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. What are you thinking? Rate hike or no rate hike? This is the Lucerne. This is actually a really famous hotel. The architecture on the outside of the Lucerne is beautiful. It may be a little bit too dark though here, team, to be able to really make out the architectural integrity, but look at that. This is a really nice hotel. And here's the thing, if you stay in a hotel on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, you can sort of get that feel of what it's like to actually live in New York City, if you kind of understand what I mean. If you stay in a hotel in Times Square, you don't really get that neighborhood feeling, right? It's more of it feels more like a trip in a sense. But if you choose a nice hotel on the Upper West Side or the Upper East Side, it's almost going to be like transcending into what it's like to assimilate to the community, as if you owned an apartment here or rented an apartment here. So this is now 79th Street. We are coming up on 79th and Broadway. This is where you can get the 1 train uptown in the Bronx or downtown to South Ferry. Look at these brownstones here, beautiful. Hey Vincent, what's up? Angel, yeah, if you type !Thomas, THOMAS in the chat, you'll be able to see what I look like. But this is a very good coffee shop here. This is called Irving Farm, New York. It's a great coffee shop. Hey.
You can't call me that on like that. Be like that every day in New York City, cause I ain't from here. Every way, back to here, north, south, east, west. You already know I smell it before you come up on me. Hold up, I smell bullshit before you come in here for it when I see I got it. I'm on it, like Bruce Willis shit. You already know I'm on it like the Ponder. Yeah, you already know I get it, yeah. You already talk about Jewish shit. You already know you knew it, shit. You already know you knew this. When I was
we'll quietly walk away, and he's gonna think I'm still there. He still thinks I'm there, but we're gonna quietly go away. He's probably gonna be so freaked out when he opens his eyes. He's like, where did this guy go? Did he just teleport? All right, 79th Street and Broadway. This is the entrance to the 1 train. You can go uptown or downtown. And you also have this really beautiful church across the street. It's fantastic. All right, let's head down to 59th Street, Columbus Circle. This is a really nice florist here. Look at that. Beautiful flowers. Blooming couture flowers. Fantastic. Ooh, that's a nice Vespa. This is like a classic Miami vibe here. All right, well, I think the stream has gone off the rails. We'll try to reel it back in. But look, I think this is a great stream to show you the Upper West Side, because very, very seldom do we ever get the opportunity to do so. And there's so much that the Upper West Side has to offer. Beautiful architecture, close proximity to Central Park, close proximity to Riverside Park, by the way. Now, if you continue to walk all the way to the west, you will run right into Riverside Park, which has amazing views of the Hudson River. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's fantastic. And that's what I always say to people who, ask me, I'm looking for a place to move in New York City, but I kind of want it quiet. I want, close proximity to coffee shops, restaurants, cultural, spots, museums. And I always recommend the Upper West Side because you have some of the best museums in the city right here, right? The Museum of Natural History on 80th Street. You have Central Park and you have Riverside Park. And arguably some of the best restaurants and cuisine in the city is located here on the Upper West Side. But check out some of the architecture here. 77th Street and Broadway, look at that. That is a gorgeous building. I think this actually looks better at night, just because you could see the facade reflecting off of all the lights. It's beautiful up here. Hey, Suzanne, this is Tom. Our hotels in Times Square, super expensive. Suzanne, it really depends on where you stay, to be honest. If I'm just going to be blunt with you and just be a straight shooter, I would avoid staying in a hotel in Times Square. That's just what I'm going to say. Now, I get it. I know many tourists who haven't been to New York before. They think Times Square, oh, it's going to be fantastic. I want to stay there. I would advise against it. It's not a great place to stay. I think it's going to be too crowded, particularly if you're out and about in the city all day. You really don't want to come back to the busiest, noisiest, and arguably the dirtiest location in New York to kind of get some rest. I would go up further. Here is the no-go zone for me, okay? If you're going to ask me, Tom, where do you recommend to stay in a hotel when I visit New York City? I'll say anywhere except the no-go zone. And the no-go zone is from West 30th Street and West 46th Street. Anything south or anything north of that, I give it a green light. But in general, kind of avoid that whole scheme. RCE says, what is your book to read on financial markets? I'll give you a couple. I'll give you a couple of my favorites. So my personal favorite book was written by William J. O'Neill, and the book is called How to Make Money in Stocks. Unfortunately, William J. O'Neill passed away about 2 months ago. I think 3 months ago now. He is the founder and former owner of Investors Business Daily. But again, like I said, unfortunately he passed away. And before he died, he sold his company to News Corporation. And News Corp owns Fox News, they own the Wall Street Journal, they own Barron's, and now they own Investors Business Daily. So it's all under one umbrella. So that would be the number one book I would recommend. I love that book. I would also advise you to constantly read the Investors Business Daily newspaper. But I would say a close number two is a book that was written by Phil Fisher. And Phil Fisher was the founder and CEO of Fisher Investments. And his son runs the company now. But the book is called Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits, as we come up here to the Beacon Theater. But that is arguably one of the best investment books ever written. Once again, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Phil Fisher is a great one. The next one, I think a little bit more value-oriented, would be Margin of Safety by Seth Klarman. Now, Seth Klarman is a very successful and well-renowned hedge fund manager. Founded Baupost Capital from Boston. And he wrote a book called Margin of Safety. There's only about 5,000 copies that were ever published. So if you want to get your hands on a physical copy of the book, it's probably going to run you close to $5,000. But the good news is you can go online and probably download a PDF copy for free. Actually, I know you can. In fact, you can for free. So that is called The Margin of Safety by Seth Klarman. And then we'll move on to Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch is the former mutual fund manager for the flagship Fidelity Magellan Fund. This was way back in the day. Peter Lynch is also from Boston, and I think all of his books are great. One Up on Wall Street is my particular favorite one. And I think if you just read those, you'll have a really good and just keep rereading them. You'll have a very, very good understanding of how financial markets work. But I think a personal favorite for enjoyable reading, like enjoyment, is a book called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, which is based upon the life of Jesse Livermore. Now, if you tuned in to Walks on Wall Street last night, this is gorgeous architecture here, it's unbelievable. If you tuned into Walks on Wall Street last night, we actually toured the hotel, or walked past the hotel where Jesse Livermore unfortunately killed himself and passed away. And it's right there on Central Park South on the corner of 59th Street and 5th Avenue. It's called the Sherry Netherland. And back in the day, you know, Jesse Livermore, his nickname was the Boy Plunger on Wall Street. So he would go down to Wall Street and trade stocks in all the bucket shops. That's what they were called back in the day. And then he would come all the way back to Central Park South and 5th Avenue and have a drink at the bar of the Sherry Netherland. Now, on Thanksgiving Day, the story has it that he killed himself. He shot himself in the cloakroom of the Sherry Netherland. But that is an amazing book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, based on the life of Jesse Livermore. So those are my recommendations. Now, do you guys have any book recommendations for me? I always like reading new material. We have now entered the 72nd Street subway terminal. You can get the 2, 3, and the 1 train, so this is an express stop. If you get the 2 or the 3 train headed downtown, so southbound, the next stop is Times Square, 42nd Street. So it passes 66th Street, Lincoln Center. It passes 59th Street, Columbus Circle. It passes 50th Street, and then it will stop at Times Square. Ooh, JC, I love that book. So JC recommends the Bitcoin Standard. That is a must read, and I'll tell you why. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, but Tom, I think Bitcoin's a scam and all this. That's fine. You can. I don't care if you do or not. The first part of that book really has nothing to do with Bitcoin at all. It's just a history lesson on currency going back to the beginning of time. So if you want a complete history lesson on fiat currencies and other currencies, you got to read that book. It goes all the way back to the barter system, right? When people, were bartering with each other instead of having physical currencies. It goes through, all the history of when people would use seashells for currency, right? It talks about the Roman Empire. It talks about, modern monetary theory and fiat currencies after the 1970s when we went off the gold standard. That's a great book. So if you hate cryptocurrency and you hate Bitcoin, you still read the book, just stop halfway. Just read the first part of the book. Hey, Brad's Brain says, I read Bitcoin Standard on Tom's advice and came away with an understanding of Bitcoin. Prior, I had no idea how it worked. Ah, well, there you go. Cool. Love it. Once again, 72nd Street subway terminal. I'll actually poke you guys in here just so you can see what it's like to take the subway. So these are the turnstiles. You would just tap to pay and then you would go directly in. And then they have all the cameras to make sure nobody's fare evading. Hey, Everything in Miami says the 48 Laws of Power book is my favorite. That's a good book too. That's a really good book. Everything in Miami, good to see you. Welcome to the Upper West Side of Manhattan tonight. Now, speaking of Miami, I will be back October 1st. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be back. It's going to be a nice break because I've been going full steam ahead here, nonstop every day. So I think when I get back to Miami, I may just take 2 days just to chill. Maybe go to the beach, hang out a little bit. Maybe go to Brickell, assuming it's not raining. Because I think this is our rainy season now, hurricane season that is, in South Florida. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually start these live streams at 8:30 every day. Today we were a little late, which I apologize for. Oh, I know, Scott. Yeah, AK is down in Brickell, which is a great place. Now, I want you all to notice the transition. So we started the live stream on 101st Street in Central Park. Old school, pre-war buildings, brownstones, and we're going to transition, quite a stark contrast here, by the way, to ultra mega tall skyscrapers, Billionaires Row, 1,000 feet in the air. It'll be interesting to kind of watch that contrast in real time. This store right across the street from us is just for dogs. It's like a very high-end, bougie pet food store. I'll try to show you inside, but it's kind of like going to a bodega or a deli, but it's all fresh dog food. Look at that, beef liver bark. I think that said $40. That's insanity, but this is Manhattan and people, look at that, Joint Care, $50, Probiotic Live, $40. Wild. Hey, Theo, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome to the Upper West Side of Manhattan. John says, for people who pay $100,000 for a parking spot. I don't know where you can get a parking spot in Manhattan for 100 grand. Maybe $175,000, but not 100,000. Bree Graham says pets are big business. Indeed they are. And that's why during the pandemic, a lot of those pet stocks like Chewy performed so well, right? McKinsey did a really good study. It's amazing. You can look it up. It's public. But McKinsey did a study, and the really starting with millennials, and particularly accelerating and ramping into Gen Z, they're spending more money on pets because they're not really how do I say this? Pets are more affordable than children. So a lot of people are treating their pets like kids and spending lots and lots and loads of money on them. So if a couple says, look, we don't have enough money to raise a child, we'll just get a dog and we'll treat the dog like a child. And that may sound crazy, but that's actually what's happening. I mean, people spend so much money on their pets. When I'm down in Miami and I'm sitting outside, you know, I'm doing the yard work, I'm watering the collusia, I'm checking out the palm trees, I promise you, every day the FedEx guy and the UPS guy drops off mounds of Chewy packages at my neighbor's door. Like, it's every day. Like what are you possibly buying for the dog every day? There's like boxes and boxes of packages that say Chewy, Chewy, Chewy all across it. Like, how many toys, how many treats does the dog need? But it's insane. Hey, Dusty Cole, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Wendy England is here. Brad's Brains is Tom and Chat. What is the #1 podcast for growth, self or finance, anything like that? It's a good question. I don't know. I usually more listen to like macro podcasts. And I really don't even agree with a lot of the stuff that they say, but one of my favorite podcasts of all time is the Peter Schiff Show. So the Peter Schiff Show obviously is hosted by Peter Schiff. He is the CEO and founder of Euro Pacific Capital and Schiff Gold. He was actually in some major litigation. They closed down his bank in Puerto Rico. But I like Peter Schiff a lot. I think he's a really good guy. I think he's a great economist. However, I don't invest like him. I'm more of like the style, I should say. My investing style is more like intermediate term trend trader, like Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller style. Like they're able to adapt their strategy based upon the market environment. Peter Schiff is just like, it's all gloom and doom. America's going to zero, you know, constantly. You know, there's nothing ever positive that he says about the economy. Stock market's going to crash. Everything's going to go to zero. That's sort of him. Excuse me. All the way in the distance is 432 Park Avenue. Lots of lights are on tonight. But don't get me wrong, I love Peter Schiff. I think he's great, and I think Peter Schiff is right. However, he needs to understand the environment that we've been in, right? And you can't fight the Fed, so to speak, or underestimate the power of the Federal Reserve. And over the past 14 years, the Fed has really drove and ramped this extremely powerful bull market. And if you listen to Peter Schiff, you know, all the way back in 2013, you would have missed out on some of the best gains in stock market history, which many people did. So it's not all gloom and doom. You always kind of want to lean bullish. Because if you just pull the data in the S&P 500, right? And I would actually build an Excel model for this. I have built one, but I would advise you all to do it. Going back, I think if you go to Yahoo Finance, you could pull historical close data. So that means every single day when the S&P closes, you can pull historical data of the percentage basis, right? So let's say if you go all the way back to, 1980, so to speak, you can calculate what percentage of the time the market is going up and what percentage of the time the market is going down. The market's going up over 70% of the time. That is the statistics. So in general, the S&P 500, so the indice, is going up about 73 to 75% of the time. So if you are default bearish all the time, well, I'm not like a math wizard, I'm not a quant, but I think I'm pretty good at like common sense. If your default is to be negative on the market all the time, I'm gonna have a short position on the S&P all the time because I'm so negative on it. By default, you are increasing your risk by default, right? Because odds are the market's gonna go up the majority of the time. So this is why it's important to take risk-adjusted and calculated risk when you're investing in equities or real estate or really in anything. This is an amazing shot. Look at that. Whoa. These are like holograms, guys. Look at that. I don't think I've ever seen this at Lincoln Center before. These are holograms of performers, like ballet, opera. That is so unique. Oh, Clarence Jackson. I forget, you live up by Lincoln Center. You got a nice place, Clarence. Jeez. Living like the Great Gatsby. Excuse me. Scott says, are you concerned the vast majority of the S&P is dominated by the big eight? Yes and no, I'd say. It's a good point, right? Now, the S&P 500 is a market capitalization weighted index. So that means the larger the market cap the company is, the larger weighting it takes in the index. So I'll give you guys a good free resource. I want everybody to go to slickcharts.com. SLICK charts.com. Once again, SLICK charts.com. And if you go there, it'll show you the percentage basis of the weighting of the S&P 500. And to your point, Apple, I believe, makes up almost 7% of the entire index. Think about how crazy that is, right? So when you're talking about beta weighting a portfolio, I'm sure many of you have heard of that terminology, beta weighting a portfolio. Chances are, if you have Apple being down on the day, if you have Microsoft being down on the day, and Amazon all being in the negative on the day, there's a high chance, high probability that the general market is going to be, either flat to negative as well. This is why in portfolio management, one of the things they'll teach you is real diversification, right? Real diversification, not fake diversification. So I'll give you an example of that. And this is actually something that DeModern teaches in one of his NYU courses at the Stern School of Business. Now, many people would say, I'm well diversified because I own Apple, I own Alphabet, and I own Microsoft. But those stocks all have a very similar beta, right? So essentially, if you own a basket of Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, you essentially own the same thing, right? Chances are if Apple's up 1% on the day, so is Microsoft and so is Amazon. So you have very, very highly concentrated sector bias. You're essentially just owning all beta in tech. It's kind of like people saying, oh, I'm very well diversified. I own Occidental Petroleum, I own Chevron, and I own ExxonMobil. Well, you're not diversified at all. You are crowded into oil and gas with all of the same beta. Now, a diversification would be, okay, I own, the XLE, which is the ETF, energy ETF, and then, I'm going to offset that by, maybe buying some Apple or something, right? You get the picture. It's just very general, but that's why it's diversification when you look at the beta, right, which is essentially the percentage move of a stock in relation to the market. So if the S&P 500 is going to be down 2% on the day, well, there's a very, very high chance that some of the individual stocks could be down, 5 to 7% on the day. So it's very, very important that if you own a lot of these very, high beta, tech-heavy stocks, you got to be able to ride that volatility risk, or at least have a really good hedging strategy. Maybe you're selling options, right? Or maybe you own some options to offset some of the risk in your portfolio. So yeah, I mean, look, I just think that in the age of technology, companies that are successful are going to continue to get more and more and more successful. This is the beautiful fountain at Lincoln Center. So beautiful here. Look at the people on the balcony. That's gorgeous. What do you guys think of Lincoln Center? What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Jafet Perez says, what do I think of 3M? Ticker symbol MMM. Well, the thing about 3M is they're in some major litigation now. I know a fund manager I respect a lot, who's long that stock. But I don't know, I think it's just, the stock is in such a severe downtrend, and it has so much overhead supply. I mean, the thing is just so far off its all-time highs, and I don't really like bottom fishing. I would much rather buy a stock going into all-time record highs than buying a stock that's reaching 52-week lows, because it's going to have so much overhead to work through, right? So I don't own it. I don't personally own it. Now, I think there was some major lawsuit with 3M from the military. I guess they provided earplugs, right? Who else knows about this maybe better than I do? I think 3M is being sued because the earplugs they provided to the military, I guess they didn't work, right? They were inoperable. And there was significant hearing loss that was unfortunately suffered by some of the troops. which is horrible. I'm not trying to downplay it at all, but I'm just covering the story just because it came up. But that's been putting a lot of pressure on the stock, like a lot. Hey, Bon Ham is here. What's up? NBA Elias. The building is beautiful, Lincoln Center, but the concerts are even better. I would agree. Now, during the summer, they have outdoor opera, which is great. Clarence's was defective product. Now, what was the conclusion of that? I'm assuming they're just going to settle for some massive amount. Now, here's what, not to sort of flip the subject, but here's actually what I'm a little bit concerned about. Let's just let this car go here. I gotta get some water. This is 15 Central Park West. Beautiful building. Now, no, I can't say it yet. Can't say it. I'll just say stay tuned. That's all I'll say. 15 Central Park West, stay tuned. Stay tuned. But anyway, so here's what I'm actually more concerned about now that we're streaming on YouTube, right? There was a massive sort of like investigation into YouTube, advertising specifically. And allegedly, a lot of advertisers were being significantly overcharged. And I'll just quickly give you an example of sort of what I mean by that. Now, I'm assuming most of you, when you click on any YouTube video, it doesn't have to be necessarily my stream, there's an advertisement that plays, right? That's how YouTube makes money, mostly. Now, a lot of those, I'm not going to say a lot, like allegedly, some of those views were fake, right? From like bots and things like that. And there's a lot of like troll bots, troll farms all over the world, and they were being shown advertising. And over the course of the last, 5-6 years, that overcharge amounted to billions and billions of dollars. And that could be a massive clawback. So Alphabet and Google have done things to take steps to prevent this from happening in the future. And they know they're probably going to be at a huge advertising loss in the future. So I believe they just raised the price of YouTube Premium. And I have a hunch, and I think it was somebody else in the chat who said this, I have a hunch the reason why they did that is because they know that they're going to have significantly lower YouTube advertising revenue going forward because they had to rectify this issue. Because advertisers were getting egregiously overcharged. And one of the reasons was because and there was more reasons to this. This is just one of the reasons. A lot of the ads were being showed to like fake viewers, right? Like troll farms and things like that. But they were still billing the advertisers for that. So that is an issue. Because if you think about it, the two top search engines in the world, number one is Google search, obviously. And number two is YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the entire world. So that could shake things up in terms of advertisers. So yeah, Stephen Bates' YouTube makes money in several types of ways. Oh, for sure. Yeah, but advertising is like the bread and butter of the business. All right, everybody, we have made it. We pretty much walked the entire length of Central Park tonight, starting at 101st Street, and we are now at 59th Street. We are standing directly outside 1 Central Park West. This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. And you have so much security here for the UN General Assembly. There's politicians, there's world leaders, everybody is here. You have 220 Central Park South and Central Park Tower in the distance, which is beautiful. We'll do a quick walkthrough. This is a unique car here. Any car fans in the chat want to let us know what this is? This is very, very unique. Hey, Tommy G, this is Tom. I held out for years not signing up for YouTube Premium. I caved in about 6 months ago. Now I love YouTube content free, or advertising free. Ah, very nice. What a unique car. Ah, it's an old Porsche. It says everything in Miami. That is such a unique car, man. I kind of be freaked out to drive that in Manhattan, though. If I'm going to be totally honest. But anyway. So the first door here at the Trump Tower is the residences. So you could purchase your private condominium or even rent a condo in this particular unit. But the middle stairs is the hotel. This is a 5-star ultra luxury hotel. It has swimming pool, gym, pretty much anything you can imagine right here. It's honestly one of my favorite hotels in the city. I've stayed here multiple times. And the door on the left is Jean George's. This is a Michelin star restaurant. So imagine that. You have pretty much full service building. You have a Michelin star restaurant, 24/7 room service, 24/7 housekeeping. You have saltwater swimming pool, you have a gym, and you have, in my opinion, the best views of Central Park and all of Billionaires Row. Gorgeous, gorgeous building. And there's a lot, so you could see a lot of the security. I'm not sure what country flag this is, but it is the UN General Assembly tonight, or I should say this week, excuse me. So you're gonna have tons of security all throughout the city. But speaking of amazing, unique real estate, if you want to see a tour, a really, really interesting and unique property tour of a gorgeous loft in Soho, particularly on Grand Street, 74 Grand Street. It is a 32-ton cast iron facade. It has 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, just under 2,000 square feet. The place is unbelievable. You have your own private elevator that drops you off into your open concept living room and kitchen. If you want to see exactly what that looks like, just type !grand, G-R-A-N-D. Once again, !grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat. And the Nightbot will drop the link to the property tour. It's an amazing property. We're currently trying to rent it out. It's on the market for rent, $23,000 a month. However, I'm actually trying to push the sponsor into giving us the listing for sale, because I think it'd do a little bit better for sales. So we'll see. Check it out if you're interested. This is the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. This is a fully electric car, and it's so cool that the NYPD now has an electric fleet.
No, I'm single at the moment.
This thing must be so fast, man. Hey, NBA Elias's awesome video of the loft tom, the private kitchen. The private elevator is the kicker, yes, and the amount of light entering the loft is spectacular. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's such a cool place, and it's just so unique to be able to live in a Soho loft. Those 10-foot ceilings, the ceiling heights are just incredible. And now this is all of New York City's Billionaires Row. Now we talked about this last night, but look at this. This is 157. You notice a lot more lights are on Billionaires Row, because a lot of people who own these apartments are from overseas. They're foreign investors, and they're only here maybe once or twice out of the year, particularly for a big event like the UN General Assembly, like we have going on right now. So Billionaires Row is going to be packed. Now, if you want to stay updated on all of our property tours, we are going to be releasing one every single Sunday. So Sunday right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on if I have the listing or not, or our team, the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman. I will be uploading one property tour every single Sunday at 3 p.m. if you want to check it out. The Trump International Hotel and Tower looks sold out. This looks absolutely sold out. Hey, Nina is here. What's up, Nina? Says, hey, Tom, how are you? I'm doing really good. Doing really good. It's going to be a busy week, Fed week. Wednesday is the day we're going to hear from the Federal Reserve. Then we're going to hear from the Swiss National Bank, and then we're going to round out the week hearing from our friends over in Japan at the Bank of Japan, the BOJ. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786. What's up? This is hello, my friend slash streamer, my favorite streamer friend. Appreciate it. Razzle Dazzle right back at you. Yeah, you know, we were just checking out a lot of, we started the stream all the way on 101st Street and Central Park West. We did a full walking tour of the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And now we're gonna hit all of the major hotels because it is going to be totally full for the UN General Assembly. Here's another good example. In the right side of the Deutsche Bank Towers is the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. Almost every single light is on. This is a 5-star hotel. It's a beautiful, beautiful building and a beautiful hotel chain. Now we're gonna be back in Miami on October 1st, and we'll actually be walking past the Mandarin Oriental on Brickell Key, which is gonna be great. We'll go down one more, just because we walked down Central Park South last night. Hey, T. Walsh says, I read the backstory on 74 Grand Street. Good movie. Joan K., welcome. Yeah, the architect who worked on 74 Grand also worked on a lot of other really nice buildings in Soho. So they have that specialty in those beautiful cast iron facades. Now the firm that I'm working at, hopefully, now, there's a lot of moving parts, but hopefully we'll be able to buy a vacant building in Soho and do a condo conversion. But it's very, very early preliminary stages there. We're just doing the diligence phase. But I will keep you up to date on that. This is 220 Central Park South. Vornado Realty developed this building, and it's right next to Central Park Tower. Look at that. Now, if you ever read the book Billionaires Row by Catherine Clark, Catherine Clark is one of the most well-known and successful real estate journalists for the Wall Street Journal. And she wrote a book called Billionaires Row. It's an amazing, amazing book. And there's a funny story about these two towers right here. So the CEO of Vornado and the CEO of Extel did Central Park Tower, which is the building to your right. They actually went out to dinner. So Gary Burnett, Steve Roth, they went out to dinner, and essentially they were arguing back and forth, and they're like, look, your 220 Central Park South is going to obstruct my Central Park views for my residences in Central Park Tower. And Steve Roth was like, hey, listen, pal, your Central Park Tower is going to obstruct my Midtown Manhattan views for the residences of 220 Central Park South. So they decided to come to a compromise, and if you notice, the buildings are actually a little bit off-centered. They're not directly, parallel with one another. They did that on purpose to preserve the views. So there's a little bit of a compromise there, and that's why you'll notice the main entrance to 220 Central Park South is on the Central Park South side, but you have this additional building here. So you have one of the buildings, this is all 220 Central Park South, and then it goes into the main tower here, just so it's moved over a little bit so everybody could have their views absolutely preserved. Kind of crazy, right? And you have the original FDNY firehouse, 2323. And this really gives a good perspective of just what New York City used to look like. Everything on 57th Street and 58th Street used to look exactly like this. Now it is being transformed into these amazing, super tall, mega tall skyscrapers. So it's kind of crazy to sort of peek back, have a look back in time, and then to sort of break your neck and look all the way into the sky to see what we've created now. It's really, really crazy. Now, the real estate development business in New York is definitely not for the faint of heart, particularly as it relates to assemblage. You know, it's not just you buy a plot of land and then you can build as high as you can. You have to accumulate the air rights very, very strategically over decades, right? It took Gary Burnett of Extel, over a decade to accumulate and to stack all of the air rights so he could build 1,000 feet tall for 157. It is very, very strategic and a very, very expensive process because you have to buy a lot of people out. Oh, looks like we got a big event going on at the Hyatt. Look at this, everybody. So, let me actually cross. You'll have a better perception, and I could explain it better once we cross the street here. So check out all of the police activity and all of the private security, okay? We are standing on the corner of West 80th, not West 80th, oh my God. West 58th Street and 7th Avenue. And you'll notice this entire street is blocked off. Well, why is that? Well, I'll tell you. If you look behind Alwyn Court, you could see 157. This is the first building that was ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. Now, on the right side of the building, you have the residences where you can actually purchase a unit. But on the left side of the building, you have the luxurious 5-star hotel, the Park Hyatt. Now, right across the street is another 5-star hotel called the JW Marriott Essex House, which is a gorgeous Art Deco hotel. Original architecture, beautiful crown moldings on the inside, 5-star hotel right across the street from the Park Hyatt. And every single year when you have the UN General Assembly, all of the luxurious 5-star hotels are completely booked out, and you have some of the most powerful people in the world, presidents of countries, politicians, world leaders. You have Secret Service right here. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden is staying right here. And it's so cool to see because you have this awesome backdrop of the Steinway Tower, which is actually the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. So tons of security tonight. This is going to be happening all throughout the week. And I think those two gentlemen there are Secret Service. Really cool. Looks like this is some type of security checkpoint here. You have 2 more police officers and another Secret Service agent here. This is outside of the New York Athletic Club, which is just another amazing building. The architectural integrity and the facades of these buildings are amazing. Hey, Ren 1018, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to Central Park South and make a right just to see what else is going on here. Stormy says, how long is the conference? I believe it ends on Friday. I believe it ends on Friday. Now, as we cross 6th Avenue, as that guy blows his vape right in my face, as we cross 6th Avenue, you're going to see the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. And that, I believe that's actually where a lot of the Korean politicians and from the Korean consulate, I believe that's where they stay. I seen them all last year. You could see more security, black cars all up and down Central Park South. And this is the lobby. Check out the lobby of the JW Marriott Essex House. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous lobby. Look at all those crown moldings. You have marble encompassing the entire place. The floors are beautiful. You have this sort of baby grand piano here. It's amazing. All right, let's head down and check out the Ritz-Carlton. I wonder where the President of the United States does stay. Now, obviously, they probably won't release that, but just out of curiosity, if I was the president and I could have my pick of places to stay in the city, I don't know, I feel like I'd stay at the Amman, New York, or the Ritz-Carlton, which is going to be right here. I think those would probably be my top two. I know. Somebody's like, the UN General Assembly is when the world's leaders and politicians come in New York and spend other people's money. It's true. I don't want to say that too loud. But it's true. Yeah, I mean, think about that. At the end of the day, guys, these are all politicians. They're blowing crazy cash at the Ritz. They're staying at the Park Hyatt. They're staying at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. It's like, I mean, my God. But again, I mean, what are they going to stay at, the freaking Motel 8? I mean, come on. All right, this is 106 Central Park South. This is one of my favorite buildings here. I actually used to live in this building. It's amazing. I'd recommend it to anybody. If you're looking for a really nice condominium to live in on Central Park South, this one is fantastic. It's gorgeous. Joel PM says Biden gets an Airbnb. Not anymore, they banned it. All right, 6th Avenue, we are standing right across the street from the Ritz-Carlton. And notice how many lights are on. Pretty much every single room in the hotel is totally filled, you can see. Hey, the Wizard is here, says evening Tom and chat. Good to see you, Wizard. We're checking out the Upper West Side of Manhattan and Central Park South tonight. I feel like it just got very quiet. You know what? Somebody's actually home with the penthouse at the Trump Tower. Nobody is ever home there. That's interesting. All right, let's cross. Usually a lot of times they'll have the country's flag in the window. So the first door right here is the residences. The second door is the hotel. And there's a really, really nice listing at 50 Central Park South. Noble Black has the listing. He is also a broker at Douglas Elliman.
I don't know. He said he just came.
40 Central Park South. This is Sarah Beth's. I think they also have a location on the Upper West Side. I love this big American flag here that's outside of the Park Lane Hotel. Now the Park Lane Hotel, Brad's Brains is Donald Trump's residence the penthouse? No, so a lot of people get that confused. 1 Central Park West is Trump International Hotel and Tower, and that is not where the former president lives. The former president's residence is on 5th Avenue. Not to be confused with 1 Central Park West. 1 Central Park West is the hotel and tower, and the residence, or the main Trump Tower that you may have seen in Apprentice, is coming up here shortly on the right. All right, speaking of another ultra luxury hotel, this is the very famous Plaza Hotel that we walked past last night. Now the Central Park South side is the residences side. So 1 Central Park South is the address for the Plaza. 1 Central Park West is the address for the Trump Hotel and Tower. Hey, good to see you. That guy that just walked past us used to be the one of the maintenance guys at 106 Central Park South. I used to see him every day. I guess he works at the Plaza now. We've been seeing a lot of old friends tonight on the stream. Wow. Okay, so this is a really good example. Look at this. Look at the entourage here. Am I saying that right? Entourage? You have Cadillac Escalade after Chevy Suburban after Sprinter van. All these black cars. You have a Hummer lined up all outside of the Plaza. There must be some major world leader staying at the Plaza tonight. You have a police escort for the NYPD here. It's cool to see everybody, like the world is in New York City this week. It's awesome to see that. And a little bit earlier in the live stream, we were talking about Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Jesse Livermore. This is the Sherry Netherland right here. Beautiful. Oh, is that right? Joe Biden is staying at the Plaza? Wow. Well, he's got a nice spot. I didn't hear that, but not a bad spot to be at, for sure. Hey, NBA Elias, this is Tom. Have you ever met Orlando Bravo? I have for a second, actually. Orlando Bravo is an extremely successful businessman. He is the founder of Thoma Bravo, which is a extremely successful private equity firm, which actually just took private Ping Identity, I believe. So Ping Identity was taken public by Vista Equity Partners. Then they were taken private by Thoma Bravo. So Ping Identity is a cybersecurity company. They specialize in identity and access management, so IAM cyber. They're a competitor of Okta, but hey, if you can drop the link to that interview in the chat, I would love to watch that. I am a huge Orlando Bravo fan. He's just such a smart guy. I think he was born in Puerto Rico. I think that's where he still lives. I don't know, but yeah, he's awesome. All right, everybody. Well, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on Walks on Wall Street. We talked about the Federal Reserve. We talked about the UN General Assembly. We talked about fiat currencies. This building right here is 5 East 59th Street. This building is completely vacant. But it's a nice building, 5 East 59. I really like this building. Maybe we'll have some news about that building soon. Who knows? So if you enjoyed the live stream tonight, please feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. And we will see you all back here tomorrow night. If you want to check out any of our property tours from our listings here in New York City, just type !grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat, and you can check out all of our listings here at the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman. So everybody, take it easy, have a fantastic Tuesday, and we will regroup back in New York City live tomorrow at 8:30. So Fun Feeds, I appreciate it. Steph UF, Bob Smith, Joan K, RK8, thank you so much. Hawaii, Wendy England, Brad's Brain, thank you so much. MBA Elias, Lisa, Tommy G, Sally, Ali Star, Michelle Henry, Dusty Cole, TK Porsche, I appreciate you very much. Stephen Bate, Richard Vogel, Austin City Limits, Robert, Mac Claire, Diana, Robert, Everything in Miami, Davis Johnson, Abdullah, Muhammad, Adrian, Joseph Hardaway, Tatted Tara. It's kind of crazy how many people are actually physically here. Everybody, appreciate you. I'm signing off for tonight. Theo, appreciate it. SK, John, Line Sync. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday. Take care. And Bree Grams as well. And Western Mass Dave.